Hello and welcome to this next module where we're going to be covering the quality theme. Now, the quality theme will take us through all of the activities and procedures and processes that we have in place that enable us on a Prince2 project to ensure that the products we're producing are of an appropriate level of quality so that ultimately they will go on to deliver the benefits. And as usual, we have designed this course in the assumption, or on the assumption at least, that you have already undertaken the foundation level training. And ideally sat and passed the exam. Now, if you did that a while ago, then I would, as far as possible, recommend that you go back and re-watch the foundation module covering quality. If it was quite recent, then you'll probably be up to speed, but you should, at the very least, review Chapter 8 of the manual along with the foundation syllabus, ensuring that those key foundation learning objectives are fresh in your mind, that they've been covered and that you are comfortable with them. As usual, again, with the theme modules, we're going to do a quick recap of some of the key quality-related concepts, as well as look at the important management products that relate to the theme and the roles and responsibilities and what everyone does in the team that contributes towards preserving quality or in some way affects an element of quality management in the project. Now, when we say fit for purpose, when we say quality, there's a tendency, if you say quality, for people to think of everything needing to be top end, luxury brands or everything being of the best possible quality. Now, quality doesn't mean that. For quality, you can sort of substitute the words fit for purpose. Does it do what it was designed to do? Does it meet the criteria that was set for it? Because if we can make sure that our products are fit for purpose, as I've said, that would almost guarantee that we would meet those business expectations, which would then in turn enable the benefits to be achieved as a result of an effective product being in place. Now, one of the key concepts that we need to have in place, or that we need to understand, is the difference between quality planning, quality control, and quality assurance. Now, quality assurance we'll talk about first. Let's get it out the way. Quality assurance, in terms of terminology, can sometimes catch people a little off guard, because in the normal organizational language, many organizations, when they speak of quality assurance, they mean the checking of a product. So a product is created and it goes for quality assurance. It goes for some type of check. Now, that terminology in Prince2 is slightly different. And when we use the term quality assurance in Prince2, we are speaking about the assurance that's provided external to the project. So the quality assurance personnel, if you like, are external stakeholders. They're external to the project management team. They exist at a corporate level. And their function is to assure the wider set of stakeholders that the project is being run in accordance with any organizational standards, that the project is compliant with company policies and procedures are being followed and the like. So quality assurance is not checking the quality of products, but rather checking the quality of the project as a temporary organization, that it is compliant with organizational standards, procedures, processes, and so on. That's affected by people, as we say, outside of the project management team. And to that extent, there's no quality assurance role description because they're not part of the Prince2 team. You don't see quality assurance existing in the organogram, in the team structure that we cover in the organization theme. Quality assurance is a function. It's an important function. It protects the interests of the organization, the commissioning organization, the customer, and in particular the organization paying for the project, that it is in fact compliant fully with any organizational standard. So that is quality assurance out the way. The remaining two concepts, quality planning and quality control, these are more related to the activities that make up the Prince2 process. So essentially, let us consider in simple terms what the difference is between planning and control of anything. Well, planning something is getting ready to do it, and controlling is physically doing it. So any activity in which quality control is being planned, we refer to as a quality planning activity. Any activity in which actual quality controls are taking place, we would refer to as a quality control activity. So that physical checking of products, which in a lot of organizations sometimes called quality assurance, in Prince2 we actually call that quality control. Now, the easiest way for us to look at all of the quality planning and quality control activities is to take a quick walk again through that Prince2 diagram, that approach to quality diagram. You'll find in the chapter, it's figure 8.1. We'll take a walk through it and look at all of the planning activities and all of the control activities, and we'll speak about the processes they come from and remind ourselves who's carrying them out and the sort of things that will be taking place when they're occurring. Let's go and have a look at figure 8.1. So with this diagram, you'll notice a couple of things. One is there's a natural flow through this sequence of activities we start at the top left there, and we follow it all the way through to the bottom. And as we move through the three separate columns, you'll see that the first column is from the customer, the second column is a project response to those customer inputs, if you like, and the quality components in a third column. So as we go through this natural sequence of quality events or quality activities, we'll naturally see whether they're customer related, whether it's a project response, or whether it's simply a component. In other words, a part of, in that case there, the product descriptions. Pay attention as well to these brackets on the left. You've got quality planning, and this bracket on the right here, you've got quality control. So you'll see all of the activities covered by that first bracket are quality planning activities, and by the second bracket, control. And you will note that there is an overlap there around the quality register, and we'll discuss that when we get there. So starting at the top, the first activity here is the customer's, well, the first sort of quality item here is the customer's quality expectations. Now, you'll recall in the starting up a project process, part of the project brief is the project product description. One of the important aspects, or one of the important components of the project product description is what we call the customer's quality expectations. Now, customers have a tendency to verbalize or to articulate what they want in quite sort of vague and aspirational terms, which is really one of the primary reasons for a lot of projects coming up short and overspending and not delivering what the customer wants very often, is that the specification of what's expected is not really defined clearly enough that the supplier truly understands exactly what the customer considers to be acceptable, and so on. Now, customers tend to speak in these quality expectation terms. So if you ask a customer how, what they expect of a new system, very often you'll get, oh, well, it must be fast. Okay, well, how fast does it have to be? Oh, it must be very fast. Okay, well, it must be faster than the existing system. Okay, well, how fast is the existing system? Oh, it's very slow. That's a sort of vague, wishy-washy information that someone can often provide. So, but good to elicit that information from the customer up front. So as part of the preparing the project product description, the first thing we do is ask the customer, well, what level of quality do you expect? Now, this won't simply be a level of quality for the product. It will also be any standards. Perhaps there's industrial building standards, for example, or industry standards that need to be applied. That's also covered by these customers' quality expectations. So customers' quality expectations, I want the system to be fast. Now, for each expectation, we need to elicit from that, or take from that expectation, and define some what we call acceptance criteria, some measurable way of determining unequivocally whether or not the delivered system has met the customer's expectation of fast. So in that case, we could say, well, the system has to be fast. Well, how fast? It must be capable of processing 30,000 data records per hour. Whatever the case may be. So we put a measurable definition on that. And then at the end of the project, ultimately, once we can demonstrate that acceptance criteria has been met, then we can be sure that the customer's expectation that the system is fast will have been met. But if that's our only proviso, if that's the only thing that is written down, that the system must be fast, once it's produced, there's no real way of us ever determining beyond any shadow of a doubt whether or not, in fact, it's fast enough to satisfy the customer's need. And from a supplier's perspective, this is hugely important, because it's upon delivering a product that has met these acceptance criteria that we're going to demand payment. And so we need to make sure that we're able to deliver exactly what the customer wants so that we can get paid. And the customer, equally, the users, should be interested in making sure they specify exactly what they want so that they get a product that solves their problem. So we've got the customer's quality expectations, and then following on from that, for each expectation, we elicit an acceptance criteria. Both the customer's quality expectations and the acceptance criteria are captured in this document called the project product description. Now, we'll get to the project product description in a little bit once we look at the management products, but essentially it's a statement of scope. It defines exactly what the project needs to deliver, including the important acceptance criteria. Now, with an understanding of what needs to be delivered and the level of quality expected, the project manager will go on to create the quality management approach. So the initiating a project process is what's at play here, and the quality management approach is defined. And within that quality management approach, we will define any quality tools, any techniques, standards to be adhered to, as well as establish those responsibilities for carrying out various quality activities. This can be really quite high-level stuff, or can really go down to quite a granular level, where, to the extent that we will say that team managers will be responsible for informing project support of quality control results. Project manager will be responsible for updating the quality register. The quality register will be stored in location X. This is the information we will record under each heading of the quality register. So we can be quite high level, as well as provide some quite granular detail about the physical day-to-day activities that will happen on the ground to ensure an effective approach for the purposes of managing quality. So we're in the initiating a project process. The activity is prepare the quality management approach. We prepare the quality management approach, and you'll recall at that point in time, we also create the quality register. Now, that's not shown here sequentially because before we get to that, quality register needs to overlap with the activities at the bottom. But yes, quality management approach and quality register. So those two are the next sort of two in the chronological sequence of events. Now, when the quality register is created in the initiating a project process, this is an example of quality planning, because we are saying, here's a quality register which we intend to use. This is the information we will keep for each entry in the quality register. So it's really not being utilized to actually exert any level of control over quality. It's simply being presented as a mechanism that could be used in the future. So setting up the quality register in the initiating a project process, quality planning. When it gets used later on in other processes, it becomes quality control, and hence the overlap. So we've got our quality management approach, we've planned, we've set up our quality register. As part of the initiating a project process, we're then going to create the project plan. And you'll recall that every time we create a plan, in Prince 2, we will create product descriptions. Now, product descriptions relate to quality in that the specific quality criteria for each product are defined on each product's individual product description. There's no central place in a Prince 2 project where there's a repository for all quality data. The quality information about products lives on the individual product descriptions that define them. And that's why product descriptions in Prince 2 are not an optional management product. Every product must have a product description. The format of the product description, the level of detail in the product description is a matter of judgment, and there's certainly some ability to be flexible and to tailor those almost on a product by product basis. But we must, at the very least, have a basic, simple specification that will allow us to determine, once the product has been built, that it has met the defined criteria. Now, on every product description, we collect some very important information. So there's the quality criteria. For each criteria, there will be an associated quality tolerance. For each criteria, there will be a quality method. Now, the quality method is how we are going to check the product. So again, we're still in quality planning here because we're defining the method that will be used to check the quality of the product. So we know by exerting or by carrying out the quality method, we'll be able to check that the product has met the quality criteria within any degree of acceptable tolerance provided. We also then record the quality responsibilities. Now, the quality responsibilities will define those who are producing, who will review, and who will approve each product. So if it's a physical product, it would be the name of the resource who is physically going to carry out the quality control activity. If it's the quality, if the quality control activity, for example, is a Prince2 quality review, then it would identify the resources who will fulfill the roles for the quality review. You know, the reviewers, the chair, the administrator, for example. So that then takes us pretty much to the end of quality planning. We've got the customer's quality expectations. We've got the acceptance criteria. They are all captured in the project product description. We've got the quality management approach that defines how we're going to manage quality. We've got the quality register that sets up a register where we're actually able to do it. And as part of creating the project plan, we will have created some product descriptions in any event. At this point in initiating a project process, we'll be creating product descriptions for the major products. But for each of those products, we will have defined the criteria, the tolerances, the method, and the responsibilities. We will also be populating the quality register now with the future dates, with the forecast dates of these quality control activities, because as part of creating the project plan, we'll know when these products are likely to be built and likely to be complete, and hence we'll be able to some degree of accuracy, at least forecast when relevant quality control activities are likely to take place. And we populate the quality register. The product descriptions will again be created in the managing a stage boundary process when we create the stage plans for the stage. So in the project plan, I might create a product description for a major product like a roof. When I create the stage plan that's going to deliver the roof, then I would create the product descriptions for the component parts. So there'll be a product description for the roof trusses, for the roof tiles, for the guttering system, for the downpipes, and so on. So as part of managing a stage boundary, again, we sort of double back on ourselves here. We've got product descriptions, again, with our criteria, tolerance, method, and responsibilities. And of course, as part of managing a stage boundary, populating the quality register with the future quality control activities. So that quality register now is becoming a diary of planned quality control activities. Now, the stage plan goes off and gets approved, and we are managing the stage, or we are controlling a stage. And as part of controlling a stage, the project manager authorizes work packages, instructs the team manager to deliver the product. And you'll recall that a work package will include the product descriptions of products to be delivered during the work package. Now, that product description, of course, has got the relevant quality criteria and such stipulated on it. So the team manager now has got the work package. They've got the product description. They can see what needs to be delivered. They know the level of quality that needs to be achieved. And once they've completed the product, they are able to then submit the quality or submit the product for its quality control. So they can give the guy up a phone call, look at the product description, see who's supposed to carry out the check, give them a call, say, hey, your product is ready to be checked, take it along, get the quality control taken care of. And for each quality control activity that takes place, the team manager will obtain an approval record. So let's go back to the diagram quickly and just have a look at this sort of process. So we've got the product being created by the team manager, and for each product that gets created, we then are receiving quality. There'll be some traceable quality records. So there'll be these quality and approval records. So quality records will be records of the quality activities, the quality control activities that took place, actual data that provides results and so on and so forth. And the approval record is sign-off effectively by the person detailed on the product description as the approver. So each team manager will need to get an approval record for each product they create. Now, so you'll recall in the controlling a stage process, when the project manager receives completed work packages, they're not physically taking ownership, or they're not touching the products necessarily. What they're getting is documentary evidence that the product has been built, tested, and approved by the relevant authority. Now, that, as I say, will take place for each and every work package and for each and every product. But remember that physical quality activity, the actual control activity itself, there's no activity in any of the Prince2 processes which says check the product. So that actual quality control is not taking place in the Prince2 process. It's independent, and as such, we see it in managing product delivery when the team manager obtains an approval record. So this little block here is the managing product delivery process. And then finally, once that is all said and done and all of the products in the total scope of the project have each received a requisite approval record, we will finally, as part of the closing a project process, in handover products in that activity, we obtain from the customer what we call an acceptance record. So now that's proof or evidence that the customer is happy with the project's product, the working, delivered or deployed solution. So that brings us then to having a discussion or having a look at the management products that relate to the quality theme. Okay, so of course we'll start off looking at where we've discussed to some extent the quality management approach and the quality register. We'll look at the content of those briefly, but let's talk about these product descriptions themselves. So product description, we know we're going to produce product descriptions for the major products during the initiating a project process. So it'll be done by the project manager when creating the project plan. Then we'll create product descriptions for the component products. Again, the project manager will do that as part of creating the stage plan, as part of managing a stage boundary. The purpose of a product description effectively is to make sure we understand the nature, purpose and function and the appearance of the product at hand. It defines who's going to use it, as well as identifying sources of information or supply for the product. We'll take a look at the product description in Appendix A. This is entry A17. Again, we're looking under the composition heading to see what a product description really looks like. So it'll have an identifier, again, a unique key that identifies it as a unique product. The title will be the name of the product. The purpose will define that the purpose that the product ultimately will fulfill, the users, and so on and so forth. Composition will be the parts of the product. Just like this composition heading is the parts of the product description, so the composition heading of the product description will be the parts of the product. Derivation is where we discuss or where we define what the source products are from which this product is derived. Now, good examples of this is as I've said here, a design is derived from a specification, a product is bought from a supplier, a statement of expected benefits is obtained from the user. This is where does the information come from? Where do the products come from? A bit like the difference between composition and derivation, if you like, is if you consider a house is derived from the architectural plans, but it's not comprised of the architectural plans. The plans do not form part of the fabric of the building, but they are used, they're a source product in order to deliver the product itself. Format and presentation, self-explanatory. What does it look like? Development skills required. Now, this is important. This is will define what skills we need to have, or what skills a suitable resource would have that will enable them to produce this product effectively. This is helping us to find appropriate people to deliver the product once we've agreed what it is. And then the balance of the product description is all of the quality related stuff we've already discussed. So we've got our quality criteria, quality tolerance, quality method, quality skills required, and quality responsibilities. Now, the skills required, again, is an indication of the skills required to undertake the quality method. In other words, what qualifies the person as suitable to execute the quality method. Now, that's quite handy if, for example, we have someone appointed who can no longer do the quality control, they're on annual leave or they've got sick or whatever the case is, we need to find another person, a suitable replacement. Well, we know what type of resource would be capable of doing it. So we need an industrial engineer or a mechanical engineer, whatever the case may be, someone who's qualified to carry out the relevant quality check. So that's our product description. Whilst we're here, let's have a quick look at the project product description. So the difference between a product description and the project product description: the product description defines each component part, and of course the major products will have product descriptions as well. But the project product, the end solution, will have a project product description. There are, again, a lot of overlaps, but some subtle differences. And of course, those important aspects of the project product description that relate to quality, we have in fact already looked at. But let's go and look now in Appendix A at the project product description. So that's entry A21. Again, the self-explanatory stuff: title, purpose, composition, the parts of the product. These will be the major products, of course, foundations, walls, roof, for example. Derivation, again, are the source products from which this product is derived. Development skills required, again, an indication of the skills required to develop the product. And again, if you don't know who the resources are exactly, it would be a pointer to where those resources may come from. Now the important stuff: customers' quality expectations, a description of the quality expected of the project's products and or the outcomes and standards and processes that will need to be applied to achieve that level of quality. So these customers' quality expectations, remember, fluffy, vague, typically expectations defined by a customer. Because they are quite vague or pretty subjective, we then define for each of them an acceptance criteria. Now, this will be a prioritized list of criteria that the project's product must meet before the customer will accept them. So that's now defined very clearly in terms of acceptability or not. Now onto the quality-related stuff here, and this is the important stuff. This is really the value of this document really lies here. Customers' quality expectations, a description of the quality expected of the project's products and or outcomes, and the standards and processes that will need to be applied to achieve that level of quality. So, can be quite fuzzy sometimes, the customer's aspirational statements about what quality they expect. So for each of those, then, we define an acceptance criteria. This is a list of criteria that the project's product must meet before the customer will accept them. And by meeting a criteria, we can be sure that the expectation associated has been met. Then again, project level quality tolerances, fairly straightforward. Acceptance method is the means by which acceptance will be confirmed. And then acceptance responsibilities, definition of who will be responsible for confirming acceptance. In other words, who will be the representative of the customer who will sign off and give us that acceptance record once this project's product has in fact been delivered. Now, the quality register, we know, created by the project manager in initiating a project process, updated throughout the method by the project manager, project support, potentially. Team managers may have access to it if they're internal team managers. So quite a lot of flexibility on that. But this quality register, we know, is a diary of those planned quality control activities. It summarizes all of the quality management activities and will obviously act as a pointer to where the quality records can be found and inspected, for example, as well as providing like a sort of summary of the number and type of quality activities taken. And that information will ultimately find its way into the end stage and end project reports along the way. Now, the quality register, you can review the composition at A23 and look at an example of an actual quality register in the chapter as figure 8.2 or table 8.2. In the quality chapter. The quality management approach, we know, is created by the project manager during the initiating a project process as part of the activity, prepare the quality management approach. This is quite aptly named, and updated if necessary as required. So again, with these management approaches, these how documents, we want them to be thorough enough. We want them to be detailed and concise and robust enough from the outset of the project that they're able to accurately define the level of quality required or the level of control required, depending on which approach we're dealing with. But if during the project we find that our quality management is left wanting, of course, we would upgrade or strengthen it or beef it up, and that increase or that additional control would then need to be reflected in the quality management approach. So this quality management approach describes, as I said, how quality will be managed. It will include any processes, any procedures, techniques, standards, and importantly, the responsibilities for quality management activities, including those responsible for quality assurance from outside the project, from corporate program management, or indeed the customer. Let's have a look quickly at the quality management approach. It's entry A22 in Appendix A. So, introduction, fairly straightforward, the purpose, objectives and scope, and who's responsible for the approach, the quality management process or procedure. Now, this describes that diagram that we went through a little earlier in the module, the quality planning, the quality control, and project assurance. Tools and techniques refers to any quality management systems or tools that are going to be used, and any preference for techniques which could be used in any step of the quality management procedure. We've then got records, definition of the quality records that will be required, where they're going to be stored, and importantly, defining the format of the quality register. Reporting will describe any quality management reports that are to be produced, including their purpose, timing, and recipients. The timing of quality management activities will detail when formal quality management activities will be undertaken, for example, audits and so on. And then finally, the roles and responsibilities will define the roles and responsibilities for quality management activities, as I say, including those from corporate program management or the customer. Now, that takes us to the roles and responsibilities that relate to quality. Again, it's likely that the emphasis here is going to be on the senior user, since the senior user is the one who specifies the level of quality needed, as will the customer. The project manager and the team manager is ultimately going to be responsible for delivering that level of quality, but the senior supplier is accountable for the quality of all products delivered by the suppliers. Let's have a look at this table. It's table 8.1. So yeah, the executive, the customer, approves the project product description, approves the quality management approach, and will ultimately confirm acceptance at the end of the project's product. The senior user, we know, will provide those quality expectations and acceptance criteria, approve the project product description, approve the quality management approach, product descriptions, as well as provide resources to undertake quality control activities. The senior supplier, apart from being responsible for the quality of products delivered by suppliers, will again, in consultation with the balance of the board, approve the project product description, the quality management approach, and of course the quality methods and techniques and tools adopted for product development and product descriptions and so on. They will provide resources to undertake supplier quality activities and approve product descriptions for the key specialist products. Okay, remember, very often the supplier is actually providing the product descriptions in way of a specification of a product that they build, that they're customizing, for example, for us. Project manager documents the customer's quality expectations and criteria in the project product description, prepares the project-related documentation essentially, makes sure that team managers implement the quality measures agreed in the product descriptions when they receive the work package back. Obviously, they need to check that the quality controls have taken place, that the right people carried them out, that the quality register has been updated, and so on and so forth. So this is a control issue. And the team manager, again, will assist the project manager with preparing and maintaining product descriptions from a specialist point of view, produces the products in accordance with the product description, manages the quality controls for those products, and will be responsible for assembling the quality records and advising the project manager of the status, if you like, with respect to quality. Okay, well, that about sums up our look at the quality theme. Take some time now to review the manual along with the practitioner syllabus. Make sure that all of the key outcomes or the key learning objectives that you're comfortable with, take some time to do those quality-related questions from sample paper 1 in the resources area. And importantly, watch those rationale videos, as they'll give you not only the answers, but importantly, some thinking that goes into the question, as well as buried in those answers and buried in those rationale explanations, there are other key learning points. Once you've done all of that, you'll be ready to move on. So come back and join me in the next module.